Welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best-of-3 series of Protoss versus Terran between the #1 Protoss from the European server and the #1 Terran. So spotting right here in the top left-hand corner of a map called Interitus, however you want to pronounce this. This particular series is from the Team Liquid map contest, so all of the games are going to be played on new maps. Playing right here with the blue Protoss pieces, we have MaxPax. And his opponent in the opposite corner, playing right here with the red Terran SCVs. He's from France, and he goes by the name of Clem. MaxPax, of course, is from Denmark. This particular map, it ranked 15th out of the 16 map contest finalists. So apparently that's not, it's not the most popular map that we've got, but there's no denying that it's, it's one of the finalists, and that in the past we've also seen maps that weren't even part of the finalists eventually make it onto the StarCraft 2 ladder as well. I actually don't know who's got final say in deciding what maps will be going onto the ladder and which maps won't, but from what I understand, this map is actually pretty solid, albeit maybe a little bit boring, right? And a lot of StarCraft players don't really... A lot of StarCraft fans, viewers, don't necessarily appreciate boring maps, and I get it, man. I would also love to have a map with storms coming in every 3 minutes, and there's like a hurricane going through the center of the map, and then at the 10-minute mark, lava rises, and you gotta make sure you leave the low ground, right? That would be sick. But sadly, the StarCraft pros, they, seem to prefer the more boring maps. Maybe that's also the reason why they're not the ones in charge of deciding what maps go onto the ladder, because I'm pretty sure if it was up to them, we would still be playing Metalopolis. Remember that map? It's a long time ago. Pronunciation of this map, by the way. Interitus? Google Translate. Let's see. What does Google tell me?
Interitus.
Interitus? Oh, it actually automatically detected Latin. That's interesting. I mean, it's obviously a Latin word, but that's funny. Okay. So the English pronunciation?
Interitus.
Interitus. It's a very American pronunciation right there from the Google Translate bot. You love to see it. Looks like there's a Zealot marching across the map right now. We've got that Adept on the back of this too. I think this is going to be a MaxPax game. MaxPax in general likes to be very aggressive. He likes to build the Twilight Council. He seems to always get like 20%, 30% more value out of Twilight Council upgrades than all the other players get. He's very good at microing his early game units, actually. It's kind of insane. A lot of Protoss players try to copy his playstyle, but it turns out it's actually incredibly hard. It really does kind of feel like his Stalkers start with like 1-1 upgrades or something along those lines. It really does seem like he gets more value out of it. Clem very much so the kind of guy right now who likes to be playing this matchup a little bit more defensively. Good denying right there, by the way, with the Zealot and the Adept. This expansion's still not done yet. Clem is going to need to finish this soon here if he doesn't want to hit a supply block. Decides to fire up a third depot here a little bit sooner than normal. Rough start right here for the Frenchman. There's the second Adept coming in as well. Okay. Zealot ends up falling here. How much value can we get out of these Adepts? Another SCV, yeah. Okay, I think this one will probably be able to get away here eventually. What in the world is that? Emporio Ormoni? That is the sexiest Terran I've ever seen in my life. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a ladder map that Blizzard will be editing that thing out. But that's so funny. That Zealot that died, okay. He was definitely wearing his favorite Armani shirt. That's amazing. Okay, so. It's gonna be Blink, by the way, on the back of this. Clem is gonna go for some Hellions here and probably a Medevac, I would imagine, out of the starport. There we go, yeah. So a Hellion drop versus a Blink Stalker opener. Okay, let's look around the map real quick. So large main base. Looks like there's a 2-step plan over here for a Reaper to get into the main as well. Tight natural over here. Massive pillar for an Overlord. Another pillar for an Overlord. Another pillar for an Overlord. Another pillar for an Overlord. Dead space for an Overlord. Okay. No Overlords in this particular matchup, though. Although we do have the sexy Terran, so that's nice. Let's see. So, tight natural choke point over here, but you can wall that without too much trouble. This third seems really tucked away behind that big pillar. There's another one over here on the same, I guess, plane as the natural and the main. Actually, one of the Adepts just snuck in. Or, sorry, this third over here is on, like, the same level as the natural expansion. Matter of fact, drop, by the way, leaving right now through the right side of the map. Looks like that Adept will eventually go down. But yeah, 4 gateways. Blink is pretty much done. we're gonna start making some stalkers and moving them towards the other side of the map. MaxPax is really good when it comes to microing these units, so... There's a little tiny ramp over here, too. That's interesting. Okay. Another expansion. Yeah, this looks pretty solid overall. Nothing too crazy, though. Nothing too, yeah, too ridiculous. I'm assuming you can get into the main base relatively easily. Now, here's that Hellion drop in the main base. Good little bit of damage. Yeah. And this may actually just be enough to... Assuming you can also shut down this over here while the siege tank ends up going down. But assuming you can defend at home, this may just be enough damage to straight up win the game for Terran. TVP, man. It's a cool matchup. But it's also very easy to lose. Like, a lot of matchups have gone past this point. Where, like, it's not very common, okay, for a Zerg player in Terran versus Zerg to lose 19 drones at the 6-minute mark. That's kind of extreme. Anyways, MaxPax now effectively pushed into an all-in. Yeah, that was a pretty basic opener as well, but he had all of his units on the other side of the map. That's one of the problems that Protoss runs into, of course. They have, like, 5 units. Like, literally, like, 5 units at the 5-minute mark. Trying to make a third Nexus and all that. I don't think there's going to be a third Nexus in this game. I'm fairly sure that he's going to have to win this game very soon. Now, the Stimpack is somewhat exposed. There's another tank available too. Yeah, the Marine count is not bad though. I mean, he could obviously blink on top of the tank, but then all of those Marines would kill all of his Stalkers. Push over here at the front too. Looks like the auto turret right there together with the siege tank is going to be enough. And obviously that bunker being repaired. Okay, we are going to blink forward. This feels like a Hail Mary play right here from MaxPax though. Just trying his best to get whatever he can. But economically, you always want to be ahead in this matchup as Protoss. Terran obviously has mules at their disposal, so they don't really even need that many SCVs. But at this point, if we look right here at the income, yeah, I mean, a bunch of SCVs aren't even mining right now, right? Like, yeah, half of the workers from the Natural were just idling on that bunker. He's gonna need to pull a rabbit out of a hat right now. Lovely little bit of micro, actually, right there on that Marauder, too. Blocking a bunch of those Stalkers from moving forward. Yeah, good control right here by MaxPax, but I just don't see how it's gonna be enough. Like, look at the production tab here, right? So he's basically saying, okay, all I'm making is Stalkers, and Stalkers, and some more and then I'm gonna make some more Stalkers? Like, he doesn't really have any late game plan over here, right? There's not a transition towards Colossus, there's no third Nexus. Clem effectively ended up winning this game with the Hellion drop. Game number 2. We find ourselves on a map called Sleepwalker. This particular map took 11th overall. Okay. So let's see. Large main base over here, jump up pad straight over there. We've got a natural expansion, fair enough. Standard wall off over here. No Overlord pillar. Now that's interesting. I think this is a map made by Maris again. Maris has got usually very strict color schemes here. So apparently this particular one is mostly gold and green. Gold and green with some beige and some grays and some blacks and some whites here and there. But anyways, no Overlord pillar. That surprises me. Like, the Overlord pillars are very far back. Maris is actually... I'm gonna have to look this up. I'm assuming this is a map by Maris. Sleepwalker. How am I gonna find this? Team Liquid. Oh, it's a song. It's a song by Nightwish. Okay, no, that's all I really need to know. Maris usually names all of the maps after Nightwish or metal songs in general. Yeah, okay. Now, I'm not gonna be able to find it very easily, but I'm gonna make the assumption that this is made by Maris. Apparently, even though she's from Finland, she hates Zerg players. I know. Crazy stuff. Anyways, now, I don't know. We've got some Overlord locations, I suppose, here and there. I mean, that's the first thing I look at when I, look at maps, right? Is whether or not there's anything away from the ordinary. There's, I mean, some Overlord spots, but they feel really far away. I guess it would be okay. Okay, other than that, ooh, we've got some God Rays over here out of the skies. Look at that. Third Nexus over here at the triangle position or the one down south. Another base in the corner. Okay, now this base is going to be very difficult to acquire, I would imagine. I wouldn't even mind seeing maybe high-yield gas over here or, like, I don't know, golden minerals, because any siege unit, probably a lurker, could sit over here and somehow, some way, magically get its spines over there, but especially, like, flying units, tempests, and siege tanks, and all the rest of it would have a very easy time. Pretty looking map. Yeah. Okay, so again, this map apparently ended up taking 11th. I don't see anything blatantly, quote-unquote, wrong with it. But maybe we'll come across something here as we continue the game. I saw some comments, by the way, on one of the previous videos of a lot of people saying, yo, the maps are kind of boring. We're kind of just watching, you know, the same maps over and over and over again with like a new jacket on, right? Like they are technically different, but really it's really mostly just the skin and the layout. And I actually agree with you guys, yeah. I would not mind seeing some spicier map designs. But the thing is, StarCraft 2 is a very complex game already. And I think small deviations here and there go a really long way already. But yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't mind seeing some crazy maps as well from time to time. And I think, like I said in a previous video too, if we had like a 9-map map pool, I think that would be a lot more manageable. But with 7 maps, you kind of need all... Like, I would be here for a 13, 11-map map pool, okay? Just put the entire top 16 of the TLMC in. I don't care. Okay, I do care, actually. No, I care a lot, actually. Like, there's not a lot of things I care a whole lot about, but actually maps, yeah, no. I feel very strongly about maps. But genuinely, though, I think it would be fun to have some more experimental maps, but it seems like most of the community does not agree. Anyways, Blink follow-up here once again from MaxPax, who's once again off to a pretty strong start here. I mean, nothing all too crazy, of course, but at least he gets to decide what the pacing of this game is going to be like. Not too surprising with the current meta of TVP. It's once again going to be Clem, who's sitting back. He is looking to, yeah, just continuously build up his economy, build up his army, and then go from there. Got a pylon over here on the left side of the map. Now, this is a nice location for one. Mostly because you're gonna need to make pylons anyways, right? And if a medevac drop comes in, this will 100% of the time be spotted. There is a Widow Mine drop coming up. No Hellions seen here. I'm a little surprised, by the way, that in a previous game, those Hellions dealt that much damage. Like, he saw the Hellions too with the Adept, right? No Terran, by the way, anywhere on this map. That's a little bit of a shame. That's the only thing I see wrong with this map here. No sexy Terran imagery, okay? No, what was it? Emporio? Ormoni? I don't know. I don't know exactly what it was. Okay, now nice catch right over here on that medevac drop. He's gonna be able to grab, well, one Widow Mine and the medevac itself, and I think the second Widow Mine. Okay, so this makes the game so much easier for MaxPax. He can go for a Nexus right now. Right, okay, there you go. And then we can just continuously warp in Stalkers on the other side of the map, much as what we did in the previous game, except this time around with a little bit of longevity as well, so you don't have to go too crazy. The micro was good in the previous game too, it's just that Clem, yeah, was going up against the Protoss who didn't have a lot of probes anymore, so he knew that all he needed to do was just hold on. Nice little bit of micro. Blinking. And blinking with the prism. Charge on the back it is. I've seen quite a few Protoss players at a high level, like for example Classic, play a different style of Protoss again, which is kind of cool to see. Classic has been looking very strong lately, and he's playing a lot more of what we consider to be the conventional style, right? With quick transition towards Colossus play, for example, and just a little bit less micro focus, which is nice to see. Okay. Curious to see how MaxPax is going to play some of those maps, though, that we've already noticed that don't really have an easy access into the main base, right? So he very much so relies on being able to, at the very least, threaten the opponent with a blink over there into the main base. But some of the maps from the TLMC make that very difficult. I actually just don't know how Protoss would ever approach these kinds of games on there. Like, if Terran knows it, they don't have to worry too much. I feel like they're going to play even greedier. Recoil immediately, as soon as the Viking got into vision. MaxPax brings the Prism back home, and he's transitioning towards Storm, it seems. Okay. There's the Templar Archives. Gateways, together with a Templar Archive. So, Storm is not a very popular upgrade currently. Most Protoss players seem to transition towards straight Colossus. So, a Robo Facility into Robo Bay. The main idea is that obviously you get yourself those Colossi out who are almost guaranteed to deal damage. High Templar literally hit or miss, but maybe even more importantly, the Ghost tend to shut it down really hard. So with the Templar Archives, you're forced into either High Templar or Archons. And it turns out the Ghost is good against both of those units. So, yeah, Terrans definitely don't mind making Ghosts. Curious to see how this is gonna go. We're still in 3 Rex production, though. 3rd Command Center just started up. MaxPax still parked right outside of the natural expansion of the Terran. Who's just simply sitting there, right? A little bit of harassment, maybe. A medevac drop, maybe. We see a bit of pressure here and there, but... yeah. Terran doesn't really need to commit very much. Protoss certainly needs to commit a whole lot more if they want to get work done. Raven? 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 Getting the Raven would be nice. Not gonna happen. Okay. Slight overextension right there from Clem, but nothing all too crazy. Okay. +1. Combat shields. Stimpack. Concussive shells. All of the upgrades are done. If Clem wants to ride across the map right now with his siege tanks and march with his bio army, right now would be the time. I guess the Widow Mines also march, actually. That's kind of cool. So normally this Raven is super nice here to shut down, well, for example, Colossi, right? Colossi, in general, difficult unit to get a lot of value out of. And that may actually be the reason why MaxPax... oh, God. Okay, why MaxPax decided to get a little bit cheeky. Go straight into the High Templar. He does have Storm done at this point. He does have 3 High Templar, 2. There we go. On the other side of the map. Maybe they weren't quite expected yet. Siege tanks do siege up. Zealots in the main base have done quite a bit of damage. Killing some add-ons as well. Killing a gas. The most important thing right here for MaxPax is just to hold on, right? Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Ooh, okay. Thought it was a misplay. 62 workers versus 49. We do have a 3rd Nexus now. Or 3rd Command Center, rather. Terran Nexus flying on over towards the base. Zealots being an absolute nuisance here all over the map. That Viking did end up killing the Prism. So eventually MaxPax is gonna have to put all of his attention right here, yeah, on just focusing and microing this army. Immortal here was the Knight. There's the anti-armor missile. Man, the Raven is so incredibly good here. But I think there might be enough right now for our Protoss player to defend. Okay, MaxPax breaks out of this soft contain at the bottom of his 3rd base's ramp, and even though he had to pull a rabbit out of a head, it seemed, he does manage to stabilize. In the meantime, though, Clem has secured the 3rd base himself. Mule is mispositioned. There we go. And he's now morphing in an orbital command here, too. Normally, we see the orbital command morphed into the main base and then a fly on over to the low ground. Interesting decision right there from Clem, but apparently a small deviation. And now we're gonna fire up barracks number 4 and 5 as well. We'll probably see a Ghost Academy not too far behind. And we do have a Robo into a Robo Bay transition as well from MaxPax. There's the Ghosts. Okay, so we've got 4 High Templar inside the plane. And we've got a transition towards Colossus coming up. Double Robo Bay is certainly a mistake. Unless he's got something very spicy in store for us. I'd be very surprised if we're gonna see double Robo Bay play. I mean, you can go Prism Speed at the same time while you go for the extended thermal lens. Alright, that's kind of nice. A little bit of a minefield set up here as well by Clem. First Widow Mine, detonated. Keep in mind, there is Storm inside of that Prism. He's gonna have to drop the High Templar first, but there we go. Nice split already, preemptively there by Clem. Okay. Few of the Zealots trying to be annoying, but they're gonna get sacrificed pretty easily. Still, 5 SCVs end up going down. Okay, Zealots are actually just overwhelming the natural expansion right now. I mean, that Storm is zoning the Terran army outside of their own natural expansion, and that's very annoying. Lovely work. MaxPax doing an insane job. The only problem is that he's now kind of stuck over here, but the Storm's still, yeah, forcing the Terran to back off. He's fired up double upgrades in the meantime, too. Colossus coming up right now. Double Robo Bay, not really achieving a whole lot. And he is going to be able to squeeze some of those units away from the natural of the Terran. Good pushback right there by Clem, of course. Still getting the Widow Mines out. Still transitioning towards the Ghost, although I wouldn't mind seeing a repair on this barracks, otherwise that Ghost is never going to come out. Okay. SCV does indeed snatch this. Same for the command center over here. It is also being healed back up to full. So which of the 2 robo facilities is it? It's gonna be the one in the natural, apparently, that gets to... That's funny, because this is the one that he added on 2nd. Anyways. Blink? No? Yes. Okay, sloppy right there from Clem. Ends up losing a full medevac worth of units. And MaxPax is slowly starting to pull ahead, right? I mean, economically speaking, he's now at 80 workers. Terran's only at 130-ish supply right now, which is really not that much. As he's starting to counter the High Templar and the Archons, he is already going up against the Protoss, who's transitioned towards higher tier units, right? Those Colossi are going to be pretty sick. Marauders are nice too. 7 of those are available, but I've got a feeling that this next upcoming attack from MaxPax is going to hit like an absolute truck. He's getting good upgrades here as well. Yeah, MaxPax is just constantly on the offensive, man. It really is such a beautiful playstyle to watch. If you've ever tried playing PvT, you know how incredibly hard this actually is. Not a lot of people can outpace Clem in general. Like, Clem is considered to be, other than maybe Raynor, the fastest player in the world, but so far it seems like MaxPax is a step ahead of him. Storm? Oh, he needs a little bit more energy, I guess. 10 zealots warped in. I would want to be a zealot in MaxPax's army, okay? The majority of Protoss players out there, when they do a zealot run by, they just shift queue it on the mini-map, right? And they're like, attack! Go to the third base and attack! MaxPax actually seems to take care of his zealots. And I appreciate that, yeah. Stimpack once again activated over here. That Terran army's looking very meager, though, if you compare it to the amount of stuff here that the Protoss player has. I understand that EMP is scary, but that is so many zealots. Base in the top left coming up right now, too. Okay. Couple of zealots here leading the charge to soak up some Widowmine hits. The main Terran force right now zoned away towards the right side here, towards the quote-unquote safety of that planetary. But that does leave this base, yeah, on the top of your screen right now, very exposed. It's MaxPax who obtains the victory in game number 2. Alrighty, and that means that our final game of the day, it will take place on a map called Solaris. Solaris. This map took a 9th overall. So Sleepwalker was 11th, Interitus was 15th. Can't wait to cast a game of Zerg, featuring Solar on Solaris. Okay. Let us see. We have some ancient Zelnaga monuments over here in the top left, apparently. Or, well, top left of the main base anyways. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, so we've got a speed zone on a pillar that overlooks the third base. By the way, this advertising that you see on the map is just from the Team Liquid map contest. It is not something, at least I've been assured that it is not something that we'll actually see in the final version of these maps. Kind of cool actually how like you can integrate advertising like that in the maps, right? It does actually kind of look sweet, but anyways. I sincerely hope Blizzard is not going to make a mistake and accidentally publish the wrong version of the maps. And I'm going to have ads in every single one of my videos that I would not appreciate. Anyways. The speed zone over here is interesting. So, the pillar obviously, well, it's massive. But flying units would still be affected by it. So I wonder if you can do some... I mean, I know Tempests are very unpopular, but like that's the thing that comes to mind here. Tempest, pew, pew, pew. You can do some crazy micro on that speed zone. Yeah. There's a couple of these pillars set up across the map as well. So look at that. SCV gonna be zooming back home. Zoom. Looks like it's also set up on the natural path. So if you send a unit from one side of the map straight towards the other side, it looks like they will actually touch at least some of those speed zones. Which is kind of cool. Okay. Other than that, let's see. Big main base, jump up over here. Pretty wide choke over here in the natural expansion, actually. I'm not exactly sure how he plans on walling that. Pillar over here as well. High yield gas over here on the low ground together with the mineral fields there. No watchtowers as far as I can tell. Rocks over here. I mean, honestly, all of the finalists for this particular tournament, they would have been winners for these tournaments back in like 2017 or so, man. Like, maps really have gotten progressively better. This map does feel massive, though. Yeah, maybe the rocks are... Or sorry, maybe that's why the speed circles over here are... making that a little bit less terrifying, but... What about a speed circle on rocks, actually? Massive speed circle over here on a walled-off area. Suddenly you could go a little bit faster. What if, like, this thing, for example, was a pair of rocks you could destroy? Oh, okay, I thought I just selected the rocks, but I accidentally selected the acceleration zone generator. I was gonna say, if that is actually a set of rocks you could destroy, and then suddenly you have a really large acceleration zone, that might be kind of cool. Anyways, just thinking out loud here. Might be a terrible suggestion. Blink coming up once again here for MaxPax. Clement going in to his own natural. Trying to get his, what was it? Centre de Commandement or whatever. I think that was the name of the... I made a little joke in a previous video. And it turns out my terrible French was surprisingly close. I think I called it Centre de Command or something. Turns out my terrible French was surprisingly close to what the actual name for the command center is in French. I think it was Centre de Commandant or whatever. Something like that. Anyways. Stimpak coming up right here for our Terran player. He's actually gone for a double barracks start. Okay, a little bit of variety here coming out of Clem. Okay, a robo facility now on the back of this too here for Mr. MaxPax. I think we can assume once again that he's going to be making a prism here very shortly, and we're going to be seeing a little bit of aggression. Yeah, the man is a big fan of bringing stalkers to watch the other side of the map. Okay. This choke point over here feels huge, man. So the standard in StarCraft 2 is 3 3x3 structures or smaller. I've got a feeling that this is going to be at least 10 squares wide. It's a little hard to say, though. There might be an overlord spot where you can actually... Or sorry, an overlord spot, a pylon spot where you can accidentally wall yourself in like that with just 3 structures, but I feel like it's going to be kind of hard. Also, this direction here, or this distance that you have to cover from the natural to the third feels very, very big. It's going to be very difficult for Protoss, I think, to expand on a map like this. You can sort of blink into the main base, but... Yeah, nah, this is manageable. This is manageable. This map feels very large. I think I actually like this map a little less than the previous two that we've seen, even though this particular map did rank a little bit higher. Stimpak finishes just seconds before this tech lab actually gets sniped. Almost a disaster. Nice pickup micro here once again by MaxPax. Is he going to be able to get out? He will be able to get out. Yeah, because of the lack of starport here, we don't actually have any sort of counter-aggression here from Clem whatsoever. So he doesn't have a Widowmine drop, no Hellion drive-by, no Raven up in the air, no Banshee, nothing. No, he's just defending for now. That, of course, does mean that MaxPax gets to use his Stalkers to the best of his abilities. That's really all he needs to focus on here. Separating a few of them. Observer there does get killed. Cyclone now also available, but the Stalkers blink over the little wall, and the little crevice, whatever you want to call this. And the third Nexus is going up. Okay, what's the follow-up going to be, MaxPax? Charge for now. Additional gateways for now. Okay, so we're just gonna play the Gateway Man, or the Gateway Man style. Artosis is very fond of that strategy, I believe. The Gateway Man is a scary style, but it's usually not the most popular one. Problem is that without splash damage, it's really hard for Protoss to actually shut down those Terran armies. And when you make a lot of gateway units... Okay, there's the Robo Bay coming up as well. When you make a lot of gateway units, it's very difficult to properly control the Terran's movement. Okay, nice little bit of micro here, right? Look at that. Look at that value, seriously. Just 2 Stalkers and 2 Adepts and an Observer have gone down here. Very respectable for sure. Not wasting the blink cooldown, no panic. Matter of fact, drop would be spotted here as well at the bottom of the map. Okay. Well, I say that. They're not actually taking the most optimal route. Does he spot it? He does actually see it. 2 Urubus chilling over here. That Stalker is gonna have to blink away if it doesn't want to die. Okay, well, it doesn't blink away. Just accepted its fate. MaxPax sitting at 60 workers here. 3 gas? No, 4 gas in total. I actually think it makes sense on a map like this, if it's so wide open and you have all these speed circles, to maybe focus on a bit more of a, well, Gateway Man-based army, right? Here comes Clem though. Because of his different start, he ends up with a lot of Marines and Marauders at this point in the game. He needs to be careful. The problem is that, yeah, as soon as he leaves his home, there's gonna be Zealots and Stalkers and everything in his base. It's okay for Clem to lose units, assuming he also kills a bunch of his stuff on the other side of the map, right? Those rocks, yeah, you probably want to blink across them or something like that. Anyways, here's the reinforcing Terran units needed because the Zealots are already going to town. And this is just buying a lot of time. That Prism though, okay, it may get sniped. No, not gonna get sniped. Maybe. Actually, losing the Prism really does suck here for Protoss. Okay. Losing the Prism really sucks because that basically means that, much like the early game here, Terran doesn't really have to worry then about, well, I guess in the early game it was Protoss not having to worry about medevac drops, but it would mean that Clem can just focus on the aggression instead. We've got ourselves one Colossus already out, extended thermal lines mostly done. Second Colossus coming. This is a massive Terran army though. This is that attack you've been building up to the entire game long as Terran. Do you really want to even, you know, warp in units inside of your opponent's base right now? Look at the amount of units here. Siege tanks sieging up in those speed circles is actually very dangerous. One Colossus just got sniped easy peasy. A lot of damage coming out. And you know what? This speed circle over here is nuts for a bio push like this. Ay. Wonderful work right here by Clem. Good run by as well with the Zealots though. Getting rid of all of those siege tanks here. Okay, I think actually Clem designed this particular build when he saw this map. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna go for a bit more of a, well, a bio-based army, right? I'm gonna be the Marine man. If I'm going up against the Gateway man, I'll be the bio man. Cute little play, but yeah. Running your Marines and Marauders in a speed circle like that, while it's, you know, at the same time being in the range of the Nexus and also a lot of that army is really nicely done. Okay, Zealot's going to town over here. That Prism from earlier, that was absolutely key. Still alive, still kicking. Yeah, these guys are good at the game, eh? It's pretty insane. That does feel like a bit of an early GG right here from Mr. Clem. Let me just go back to that moment where he does call GG. I think that's right about right now. Okay, so Zealots in the main base that he can't really contest with. Zealots in the natural that he can't really contest with. And there's a massive Protoss army over here at his third base that he can't really contest with either. Yeah, so as soon as he sees the army here at the third, a little bit of an anticlimactic ending, but I don't really see how he's going to be able to put out all of those fires at once. That attack over at the third base of the Protoss really felt like it was amazingly good for Terran initially, but then when those Zealots charged in, right? I mean, they charged through that green zone as well, on top of all of those tanks. They suddenly managed to even up that fight and create an advantage right there for MaxPax. In the end, it's MaxPax who obtains the victory in the series 2-1.